What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to the Blazers Uprise post-game show presented by Sleeper. Today, your Portland Trail Blazers struggled to keep up in Memphis as they fall to the Grizzlies 119-96. Yong Hansen gets his first NBA start. We're going to break down how that looked as he got to match up against Zach Edey as Donovan Clingan and Robert Williams III were out for this one. This was a brutal game. It's a brutal game. The Memphis Grizzlies without Ja Morant still are able to control the Blazers outside of a Blazers run there to start the second half, and they win going away by 23 points. This was a game that Memphis led by as much as 26. The Blazers were able to fight back and cut it to 5. I was proud of the effort during that run, but outside of that run, it was a very ugly game for your Portland Trail Blazers, and it was another ugly game from NBA referees. We'll probably discuss that at some point as well, man. Unfortunately, it's like every single post-game show, there's just some ridiculousness to talk about from NBA referees nowadays. So we'll get into all of it as we normally do. Thank you guys for tuning in and making us a part of your Sunday evening. Hopefully you guys had a good weekend. Eric, what's going on, man? How's your weekend been, and how are you doing?
My weekend was good outside of this game. But yeah, it's... I was excited to watch Young get some extended minutes. I knew it probably wouldn't be like the best looking thing ever, but every once in a while to get a good look at someone who needs to play actual minutes, it's fun. And yeah, that play though with where it got out of control, where he went down and the ref somehow let the play go on, even though it was a dead ball. They don't stop the game. Like, how do you not stop the game for an injured player down? Like, I don't understand that at all. But I don't know. The refs aren't why we lost, but like it was a little out of control this game.
Yeah. I mean, I'm tired of talking about the refs, but I'm gonna keep talking about the refs when the refs keep doing dumb stuff, and the refs keep doing a bad job overall, man. I mean, this was a game where the Blazers could not buy a call. I know they were 3-point shot happy in the first half, so maybe you can explain that a little bit. But there was just multiple plays where there was contact and the Blazers weren't getting calls, but then they were getting called for it defensively. As I've always said, either let contact go both ways or call it both ways. Just make sure it's fair no matter how you call it. It did not feel fair today. The Blazers end up shooting 18 free throw attempts. The Memphis Grizzlies end up shooting 39. And that's kind of your story right there. And this wasn't a Memphis team playing with anybody that is viewed as like a top tier slasher or anything. You know what I mean? They weren't playing with Ja Morant. They had a starting lineup of Vince Williams, Zach Edey, Jalen Wells, Cedric Howard, Jaren Jackson Jr. Jock Landale gets 10 free throw attempts in 21 minutes. Santi Aldama gets 7 free throw attempts in 28 minutes. The free throw battle isn't why we lost the game, but it's frustrating to see 2 nights in a row where the Blazers get anything but the benefit of the doubt in terms of whistles. And it's really frustrating the way this one was called. But that play you bring up, that's the only play I'm really going to get into is how as an NBA referee crew do you not call somebody getting hit in the face right in front of you and you call it out of bounds off them when they crumple to the floor after getting hit in the face, and then you're going to over their dead body, not dead body, but over Yong Hansen laying face down on the floor.
Yeah.
7 feet 2 inches of human being lying face down on the floor in pain because he just got hit in the face and you didn't call it. How are you then going to inbound the ball and give it to the Grizzlies and they get a fast break? They get a fast break bucket out of it. Like, how are you going to do that? And then you're going to tee up the coach for having an issue with that. That was just a stupid sequence that is very indicative of how bad NBA refs are.
Just side note real quick, Portland third in the NBA in free throw attempts per game. Memphis tied for 17th. And they completely, part of the credit goes to them because they did attack the paint a lot more than we did in this game, especially in that first half when they took the lead. I think we only had like 14 point paints at halftime. It was quite bad for us. Um, but yeah, just to not. Okay, you missed the foul. It happens, I guess, right in front of you. But at least stop. Don't let him inbound the ball until he can get up, or you see if something's wrong with him. If it's like a live ball, that's different. But you shouldn't have to call a timeout for an injury situation if it's a dead ball situation. So that was ridiculous to me. And then to not like let calmer heads prevail and like be like, okay, we missed that one. We should have stopped the play. We'll rescind the technical or whatever. So it just kind of magnified from there. So not only did we turn the ball over, didn't get the foul call, but then they also get a technical on top of it. Just ridiculous.
Yep, but I mean that's NBA referees nowadays. The product is a bit of a joke, and it's frustrating, man. I don't want to sit here after every single game talking about how I'm frustrated with the NBA as a product, but I'm frustrated with the NBA as a product, and the number one reason is due to the way things are reffed and what they'll let go in certain situations that they'll then always call for stars, especially if they flop. And then you have the flopping technical last game on Jeremy Grant. I forgot that even existed because I see stars flop, and then you get Yong Hansen get slapped in the face, no call, laying on the ground in front of the ref, and they inbound the ball over him, and then they tee up the coach for complaining about it. Just completely ridiculous stuff, and it just seems like it's getting worse and worse this season, man. Not the reason the Blazers lost this game. I mean, maybe if they got the Grizzlies whistle and the Grizzlies got the Blazers whistle, maybe this is a game. Maybe this is a game the Blazers win. But outside of that, I mean, just do a better job. There's no accountability for these refs, and it's a problem. You know, MLB umpires have a report of how accurately they call strikes and balls, and they get like graded on it, and it's public information. Mm-hmm. There's just no accountability for the refs. They can do whatever the hell they want, and I feel like the NBA likes it that way, you know, because then they can control what they want to control, and it's super super frustrating to me. So the Blazers get the short end of the whistle tonight. That's my.
Well, we saw that play. We saw that play in Detroit where Robert Williams gets pump faked into the air, comes down, doesn't touch. I forget who that was.
Cade Cunningham.
If it was Cade or whoever it was, but so he doesn't get the benefit of the fact that he doesn't touch him. Deni pump fakes a guy. I think it was Coward. Mm-hmm. Goes completely into the air, comes down on him, knocks him to the floor. Complete contact. Yep. And then Denny's like sitting on the floor. Deni shouldn't have tripped him afterwards. That was kind of dirty. But
I don't know if Deni tried to trip him.
I think Deni was frustrated, but
he kind of ran into his legs.
Yeah, but like for that not to be a foul call, like when you pump fake someone in the air and they come down on you, when we just saw 2 games ago, or was that last game? That was last game, right? Friday night. Yeah. Last game we saw one where the guy didn't even touch someone on a pump fake, and it's called a foul. It's just very inconsistent.
Very, very inconsistent. I mean, you got to start holding refs more accountable, and got to start figuring out. The NBA has to start doing better here. But let's just take a look at the stats here, Eric. So the Blazers shoot 40% from the field. They shoot 35% from 3. This wasn't a bad 3-point shooting game. This is above average by the Blazers standards. And you look at Memphis.
Second half.
Yeah. Well, you know, we'll take a 35%, and Memphis shoots 29% from 3. The problem is Memphis was just able to attack the rim constantly. They have 52 points in the paint, and they shoot 39 free throws, and I think that's due to not having Robert Williams or Donovan Clingan healthy in this game. And then Yong Hansen will go into more depth, but he's just not a good defensive player right now and not a rim protector at all. Like, they were just going at him, especially in that first half. I do think he did a little better job second half, but the Grizzlies lived in the paint and lived at the free throw line, and they also got 16 offensive rebounds, so also the lack of size for the Blazers hurt them in that department, and I feel like that's the biggest reason for a 23-point loss here. You know, you turn over the ball 26 times, but the Grizzlies had 23 turnovers, so that was pretty much even. The Grizzlies did a better job converting points off turnovers and getting out on the break. I would have liked to see the Blazers play a little faster considering their lack of big men and centers, but only 8 fast break points. This team's not a good fast break team right now. But the biggest difference is those paint points and the free throws and the offensive rebounds.
Yeah, and I'd add the turnovers too, 26 of them, even though you forced 23. The Grizzlies aren't necessarily the greatest at causing turnovers, and so when you turn the ball over a lot of those were live ball ones. And the 16 offensive rebounds killed us. There was a stretch where in the second quarter where Jock Landale, I don't know how many finished in the second quarter, but he had 5 offensive rebounds in the second quarter alone at one point. And most of those, to be fair to Yong, were on Uprise, who did a terrible job of rebounding for being a center in this game. So I felt like that lack of size between it wasn't even Edey that killed us necessarily, although he did later on and very early in this game on the boards. But during that stretch where we got down by 20, it wasn't necessarily even Edey that was causing it. It was guys that shouldn't be getting offensive rebounds, regardless of whether we have a center or not. But that definitely hurt us tonight, I think, not having either Rob Will or Clingan out there to get the boards, because we know we're already one of the worst defensive rebounding teams in the league. So when you don't have your 2 normal bigs, that's just a uphill battle you can't overcome, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. But the Blazers as a committee have to do a better job rebounding at the same time. Like having Clingan obviously helps in that regard. But guys on the perimeter have to do a better job of boxing out on the perimeter. There's too many guys that are able to crash the boards from the perimeter without any resistance, without any box outs or anything like that. So the Blazers got to do a better job there. And then, I mean, Uprise is just not a physical center. He's not, to me, he's not even a center. He's being miscast as a center. The rim protection isn't there. The defense isn't there. Like he's gets lost a lot defensively. You don't want to have your center get lost defensively the way that he can, because they have to be the quarterback of the defense and communicate everything is normally the last line of the defense. And Duop just struggles in that regard. And that's why he hasn't been playing much. And in this game, he ends up playing 19 minutes. He played the same amount of minutes as Yong Hansen. So he had 12 points. He made 3 threes, but he had 2 rebounds in 19 minutes. It was a minus 16. Like, Duop, even if he hits threes, he's giving so much up on the glass and defensively a lot of times that he's basically unplayable. So he's on a main roster contract, but he's not somebody that even when he does the one thing he's good at really gives you enough in other areas for that to actually be like productive outside of a fluky game here or there. So it's not even something that I really want to criticize Reith for, because it's not like an effort issue. He's just not big enough, not strong enough. He's just not a center. And he has to play center when you have Rob Williams and Donovan Clingan missing, and then Yong Hansen's your starting center, and he's not NBA ready. Doesn't put you in an easy position. Yeah, those numbers are the biggest reason why. If the Blazers could have gotten to the line a little bit more today, maybe it's a different story. But the interior battle, Memphis won that. When you have Santi Aldama off the bench, who's a 7-foot power forward that can space. Jock Landale's been having a really good season, and then Zach Edey's back, and he's 7'3" down there in the paint. It's really hard to match up with that when you don't have Clingan or Rob Williams. And it would have been fun to see Clingan go against Edey, like the championship game a couple years ago for college basketball, but unfortunately we didn't get that. Hopefully Clingan can be back on Thursday.
Yeah, got 3 days off. Hopefully we start to get some bodies back. Drew, since their update, I think that was November 21st, if I'm not mistaken, that he'd be out 1 to 2 weeks. So we're over the 2-week mark, I think, especially by the next game. Are we going to see an update on him being available, or is he going to be out longer? It's tough with so many people out, I guess. But this was one of the games this year.
Wait. Can we have a quick conversation about the timetables at this point? I wish the Blazers would just not give a single timetable at all.
Right.
He might be back this season. He might be back next game. He might be out for the season. We don't know. I would like that more than the timetables where we get timetables that then it's like those timetables don't even matter. 4 to 8 weeks for Scoot Henderson after he tears his hamstring late September, and I know that's like a reevaluation date, but
Yeah.
okay, like it's December 7th, and he doesn't look close to coming back. And then this Drew thing is another example. So I'm tired of the timetables from them because they're never meaningful at all.
It would be better if, so like if you say Drew's going to be out 1 to 2 weeks, then at the 2 week mark, give us an update. Like, okay, he's progressing, but still not ready to come back yet. But they just remain silent until the next update when he's out another 2 to 4 weeks or whatever, and that's the problem, I think. So yeah, that's frustrating.
I mean, the most infamous thing was the GP 2 weeks saga, where it was 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. Now GP 2 weeks had something to do with that a little bit, I think. But yeah, it's always been an issue with this organization.
My wife started sizzling the chicken right.
Sounds good, man. Honestly, it's fine. It's fine.
All right.
You can cook with the background noise. It kind of fits, you know.
It's fine. So yeah, it's just. I mean, we obviously need guys back, but today in the first half, especially, it was one of the first games where I was like, "Wow, the Blazers just do not have a lot of energy for this one."
Yeah.
Several of them look tired. Deni's obviously been carrying a huge load, maybe one of the biggest workloads in terms of having to carry a team in the NBA this season so far. And so, I mean, you just felt like this game was not going to be easy to win when you saw him come out kind of flat and not aggressive at all. And, several players are just careless with the ball, turning it over. Tamani made his first shot, but then struggled pretty much the rest of the game shooting. And, you know, when we have so many people out, he's once again needs to have a good game if we're going to have a chance in some of these. Trying to think who else, but it just seemed like the Blazers had maybe hit a wall in terms of being tired or the legs not being there tonight. And that was one of the first times this season where it was like, man, effort just isn't there tonight, and they need to be scrappier and they need to have that effort, or because that's really the only chance they have to win with these kind of lineups is if everyone's just leaving it out all out on the court.
Yeah.
Hopefully these 3 days off help with that, but yeah, it's the Blazers can't go on very long with only a few good players mixed in with a bunch of G League guys. You know, at some point that's going to take its toll on the guys who are trying to uphold these players who aren't necessarily rotation players on normal teams.
Yeah, man. There's not to beat a dead horse. It's just the end of the roster is not good enough to hold serve a lot of times. Unless Deni and Jeremy and somebody else played great. Sissoko today, 4 turnovers, no assists, 6 points, like pretty much gave you next to nothing. Let me pull back up the box score here. He was rough.
Shaden 6 turnovers, 2 assists.
Yeah. I'm gonna talk about Shaden for sure with those turnovers. I do like that he was 3 for 3 from 3, but it was almost like, oh, I'm gonna make threes today, but because of that, I have to detract from another area. So here's 6 turnovers with only 2 assists. Right? Not great. He was sloppy today. But I mean, you just look at Reith. We talked about the issues. Even though he makes threes, he gives up more than he gets. More often than not. Yong, you know, he's a rookie project big. He had some growing pains, but the Blazers were a +2 with him on the floor. So somehow, you know, the Yong Hansen minutes isn't what caused this loss at all.
Well, it's thanks to that huge run at the beginning of the third. And...
Yeah, but like the fact that he was able to be in for a huge run like that was good because at the start of the game it looked like, oh man, he's going to make us lose by 50 the way he played at the start of the game. But then you got Chris Murray, Eric. Off the bench, 22 minutes, 2 points. So in the last 50 minutes, he has 2 points. The last 2 nights, he's played 50 minutes. 50, not 15, 50 minutes. And he has 2 points. He got a couple of blocks. He got a steal in this game. But, dude, he's just like, he doesn't do anything. He had that really bad foul on Santi Aldama. He had 4 fouls in 22 minutes. He had that bad foul on Santi Aldama where he had him cut off and then just like let him walk past him so he could try and reach from behind, and he fouled him. And it's just like, dude, you're supposed to be the solid defensive player. What the hell are you even trying to do there? That was just really... There's just plays defensively that kind of frustrate me with him, but he just doesn't do anything. He just doesn't do anything.
Or not enough to warrant everything he's given, I guess.
Yeah. Doesn't do anything is kind of a relative term there. I mean, like, yeah, he got a bucket and a couple of blocks in 22 minutes. Okay, that's not enough. It's not enough. It's not impactful enough. The defense, I still think, is overrated. He'll make a good play. He'll make a bad play. Like, he's not a clear positive to me on the defensive end. Caleb Love, 2 for 7, 0 for 4 from 3.
He was brutal tonight.
Better than Scoot, though.
Oh, man. Do we have to keep bringing that up?
Yes.
That's obviously wrong. That was obviously
People
wrong.
Gotta
we knew
learn,
it was wrong
man. People gotta learn to not freaking overreact to highlight tapes in one Summer League game.
One person? Or what?
Dude, there's multiple. I still get tweeted at every time he has a game where he shoots at least 40% from the field. I still get tweeted at in a thread where some dude's saying he's still better than Scoot. I think that's a completely different dude. It's all the people that love themselves Antonio Blakeney like 5 Summer Leagues ago. I mean, here we go with Caleb Love, 2 for 7. And one of those buckets was in garbage time. He was a minus 19. Absolutely brutal.
I do kind of feel like it's insulting to Scoot to even entertain those
I know.
arguments,
I know. But this is just like the hot take nature of some fans, and a lot of people have very strong feelings towards Scoot, where, Scoot averaged 12 points a game, like 54% true shooting percentage last year, 5 assists. Like, he wasn't like a terrible NBA player. Right now, Caleb Love's a pretty terrible NBA player, but he's a two-way guy for a reason. There's a reason he's not on a main noster contract. But then, speaking of doing nothing, Ryan Repair in 11 minutes goes 0 for 3 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3, no points, 1 rebound, no assists. Literally, the only stat other than a missed shot that he recorded was 1 offensive rebound and a foul in 11 minutes. That might be the king of not doing nothing. Like, Chris Murray's trying to be like Ryan Repair right now. So just, it's those cast of characters just are complete. It's just not good enough. And you look at teams like Memphis, man. I mean, they got Jock Landale scoring 15. Cam Spencer's been good this year. He had 12. That's a second-round pick from the 2024 draft, a draft in which we traded 2 second-round picks out of. He had some buckets today. At least he did some stuff. He had 6 assists. Well. Yeah, he's been playing well for them, right? Olivier Maxence Prosper even came in the game and had 2 points in 3 minutes because he got fouled, got to the free throw line. That's more than Ryan Repair did all.
That was garbage time, but
Ryan Repair can't even do anything in garbage time right now. So, it's just the same cast of guys that are giving you literally nothing.
Yep. Fortunately, that's the case. Who could have predicted that, though? So it's one of those things that no one could have known ahead of time, right?
Yeah.
That those guys weren't good enough.
I don't know. I don't even know what to say, Eric. Like, what do you even say about these guys anymore that we haven't already said multiple times? So pick a player to talk about. I don't really know where to go with this. Like, I don't even want to sit here talking about those guys for 30 minutes like I did on Friday. So they just don't do anything. And if they do something like Duop Reith, he at least has an NBA skill. The other skills that are needed are really, really bad, so that it doesn't even matter. That's the nature of it. You have Sharp off the bench is like the only player that is worth a damn and in this game, and he was a minus 31. He was 5 for 11 from the field, 3 for 3 from 3. He had 6 turnovers, though. So he's a minus 31 if you want to start there. What'd you think of him?
I did like that. We'll stick with positive first. I did like that, obviously hit 3 threes. I felt like he didn't really take a super bad one this game, which had pretty much been the case every game this season. He did try to attack a few times. But overall, I just felt like just way too careless with the ball, way too many transparent passes where it's obvious he only has one place to go, whether that's the corner on a drive or who he's going to kick out to if he gets stonewalled on a drive. So he's got to do a better job of not telegraphing those passes and then just dribbling. For some reason, this was the game where the same thing happened with Deni, which we'll talk about later, but just way too careless with the ball. Just you're not even being guarded sometimes with Sharp, and you're just losing the ball. Or that one time he's tries to make a behind the back dribble for no reason when there's a guy standing right behind him. I think that was Aldama, just takes it away from him because he dribbled it right to him behind him. And so he's just got to get better at protecting.
Oh, you got collab cammed. Got to get better at protecting Eric from the collab cam.
Stretch.
You got collab cammed for like the last 10 seconds, but basically,
just can't turn the ball over 6 times and expect to.
Here's the thing: if we're gonna like bring up like him and Deni, at least Deni's making plays for other guys. You know, he has 5 turnovers, 7 assists. Like some of the turnovers were just bad sloppiness, but at least making plays for other guys. Sharp's not even making plays for other guys, which makes like having a high turnover game like this even more kind of inexcusable. And I talked about it. Like I don't think he sees the floor particularly well. You know, like the behind the back into Aldama, he just didn't even see him. And there's just plays where it's just like it doesn't seem like he sees the floor particularly well. Like he has a little bit of tunnel vision where, you know, he attacks, and when he can get going downhill, he can have some super impressive finishers where he's avoiding shot blockers. But anything that's in his peripheral, sometimes I wonder if he actually sees. Like it's all kind of like what's in front of him, he could see. He doesn't really see out of the corner of his eyes well. To me, like that's my interpretation of it. And the Santi Aldama play was kind of a perfect example of that. So, got to make more plays for other players, man. He
no
has
peripheral vision is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, that's what I said, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So you gotta make plays for other players at some point if you're gonna have the ball as much as he does, and especially with the turnover issues. But he has more turnovers than assists on the season. So, you know, I like that he made threes, and I like that he didn't settle for threes. So that was a plus. But I'm also not sitting here like, oh, maybe he's turning the corner. I'm not going to do that off of one game. I need to see him. I need to see him have a long stretch of knocking down threes before I believe anything's changed, because we have a long stretch of him just getting worse from the 3-point line. So I want to see him do a better job taking care of the ball and making plays for others, and he's struggling in that regard right now.
Yeah, I agree. 1 game sample size should not be good enough to say he's turned a corner or anything like that. But yeah, obviously didn't do much with him in. I will say though, I mean, especially when Klingon and Rodwell don't play in this game either. I mean, we had some ridiculous lineups with Sissoko, Murray, Rupert. You know, like those Reith, like I don't know what he's necessarily supposed to do other than try and be aggressive and score in some of those lineups. But so maybe we should have that conversation to whether he should be starting with Sissoko being the starter right now, or if we should continue to bring him off the bench. But other than that, like he's got to be better with his carelessness with the ball.
I just want to see him uplift some of these lineups a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like Deni when he's in next to Scrubs, like he lifts the lineup up, even if he's playing next to players that aren't impressive. You know, it's I want to see Sharp have the same thing, but I mean those lineups today. I don't know what the statistics bear outside just looking at the plus minus, but those lineups were better without Sharp in the game because Sharp was turnover happy. And those turnovers sparked some buckets the other way. So Sharp needs to be a bit better. So, you know, it's the 3-point shooting was good. Outside of that, it was a pretty forgetful game. Coming on the heels of a very forgetful game against Detroit, where he did get going in the fourth quarter there, but it's just too inconsistent, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
It's just too inconsistent. Like, he's just very, very inconsistent. Even the 3-point shooting today was inconsistent in a good way. Like, he was 3 for 3 from 3 today, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just the nature of the game with Shaden Sharp is he's just a very inconsistent player. And he did some good things defensively today, I thought. Like, the defense is inconsistent as well. Like, he had a great closeout, forced a turnover from KCP. Like, that play really stuck out of my mind because that was one of the better closeouts I've seen all season. So, it's not like there's ever a game where he's just all bad. So there's always like nice things here and there. It's just, where's the consistency? We've been having this conversation for years with him. Like, is the consistency ever going to improve? And I still feel like it's not really improving.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't argue that. I wish I could sit here and say, yeah, no, he's turned the corner, he's on his way, but still has a lot of the same question marks.
My mic sounds quiet. Okay, I'll turn it up. Hopefully this is better. Hopefully this is better. I don't know why it would be quieter, but yeah, so that's it for the bench. Jeremy Grant, 21 points, 5 for 6 from the field, got to the line 10 times. He was the only one who could get a whistle in this game. 7 boards, 3 assists. What'd you think of him?
I mean, he was okay. It's just an all right Jeremy game. Like, it wasn't bad, didn't like necessarily carry us or anything, but yeah, I mean, obviously our leading scorer, so did something right. Yeah, thought he was just his normal Jeremy self, at least for this season.
Yeah.
I hate to bring up the refs again real quick, but
Yeah.
that's not a flagrant foul. That's such like not in the spirit of the rules.
Yeah.
He turned his back. He's standing there. He's a full like foot in front of him when he leaves the floor. As a defender, you have to be allowed some sort of space without the guy jumping into you.
Yeah.
I don't know what you thought of that.
I thought it was kind of silly, but also I'm not surprised we don't get the benefit of the doubt on reviews at all.
Yeah, I mean, like, I understand like why you would review it or whatever. I hate that. To me, it should be if you're sliding your foot underneath someone. That I can understand why that's a flagrant foul, going back to the Kawhi Leonard in the playoffs moment. But he didn't. He contests the shot and turns around. He at no point moved his feet in towards the offensive player. So to me, that's not, even though Aldama does come down on his foot, it's not because Jeremy slid his foot towards him at all. It's just because he turned around and Aldama happened to be going crazily forward into his foot. It's an unfortunate thing if someone comes down on someone's foot like that, but that's not a flagrant foul or anything like that. Now, if he's closing out towards him, and that happens with his feet going towards him, like, I completely agree that that's a flagrant foul and should be reffed out of the game. But I don't understand that one at all.
Yeah, I didn't understand it either, man. Didn't understand it either. But is what it is. Like, there's some ridiculousness in this game. I'm kind of reading chat here. Comment about if the Blazers were consistent with Sharp's minutes and role, maybe just start him and let him play through it. I mean, the last 3 games, he played at least 30 minutes a game. And the only inconsistency is because Sharp was on a minutes restriction, which Sharp gets banged up. It seems like Sharp's just always going to be somebody that's dealing with something and maybe dealing with a little minutes restriction. So he's going to have to learn how to play through that. If he's going to be somebody that's always banged up with something and always dealing with an injury, he has to be somebody that's capable of being consistent even through maybe his minutes being limited a little bit because he is dealing with some sort of injury. So, or he has to find a way to be healthier and find a way to get his body to withstand the rigors of an NBA season. Because unfortunately, he just hasn't really held up a lot of times. So that's part of it. Like, that's not the Blazers' making his role inconsistent. I think at this point, sure, you start him, but then you have no scoring punch off the bench. I mean, maybe you put Jeremy back on the bench. I'm kind of a fan of that. Put Sharp in the starting lineup, Jeremy back on the bench right now if you still want to start Sissoko at point guard or whatever the hell they're doing there. Or if you just want some scoring punch off the bench, that should be Jeremy. But I don't think it's an excuse for Sharp. I mean, even when his role was consistent, we still were talking about his lack of consistency. So that's just the thing that's been most consistent with Sharp is that he's inconsistent. You're muted.
He also seemingly has nagging injuries that cause questionable minutes restrictions or, not being able to unleash him fully at times as well, or missing games altogether. So he's got to figure that part out of it too. Like, I mean, it doesn't seem like he's on a minutes restriction anymore, but then why isn't he put back in the starting lineup? Is it an effort issue? Is it defense like last year? Or is it the turnovers? Like, what is it? But something is causing this situation to not lead to him getting a consistent opportunity, if that's what it is. I don't think we can necessarily blame the organization or blame him. It's maybe a little of both, but like, I'm definitely not going to sit here and say like, oh yeah, someone's holding him back or whatever. Even if you take Cronin for what is his words, where he literally said that they've been protecting them, the young guys and stuff like that. But this year, I don't see the same protections as they've had in previous years. But at what point does he regain his role back that he had at the beginning of the season, or did he just flip with Jeremy when we're fully healthy, and now he's going to be coming off the bench, and we're going to start three forwards? I don't know what the answer to that is.
I don't know either. It's one of the biggest disappointments of the season is like Sharp's, the 3-point shooting, the turnovers, like having more turnovers than assists. He still has time, but it's just like, okay, it's your 4. On one hand, he's still 22 years old, but on the other hand, it's like, all right, has there been enough improvement from age 20 to 22 in the 3-point shot? No, it's declined. The playmaking, if anything, I feel like it's maybe declined in the last 3 years as well. Like we saw, I think, more flashes, and maybe that's part of like, okay, he started getting comfortable running pick and rolls, and now we don't run so many. But yeah, it doesn't feel like this. He on his own needs to be more consistent and needs to be healthier. It also does feel like this coaching staff isn't necessarily like helping with that or helping with any of these young players progress right now, or at least compared to last season too. Like, I don't think really Klingon looks a little better, but he was always going to get better going from a rookie big to just being in better shape and more coordinated and that sort of thing. It's not like the 3-point shot is at a better percentage for Klingon, because it's not. Like who has improved as a shooter, or who has improved as a playmaker compared to last season? The only guy you can really say is Deni, but Deni was showing a lot of this stuff at the end of last season as well. So it just feels like there hasn't been enough of a jump from really anybody on this roster over the summer. And it kind of makes me... I wonder if like Scoot was going to be that guy that took a jump this summer, where if he had been healthy, we'd be sitting here like, okay, he took a jump, because he took a jump between year 1 and year 2. Of course, there's a lot of room for improvement from year 1 to year 2 for him. So it just kind of sucks that he isn't healthy as well, because we know he works hard and seems to work on the right stuff and is very intentional with his off-season work. Maybe he was the guy that was going to take a step from his off-season work, and unfortunately we've been robbed of that, because there's really nobody that has been playing that has taken a noticeable leap in improvement in really any particular area.
Or would we be including him in that group and being like, well, how come none of these guys got better this season? Which would also be frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If Scoot wasn't improving, because I was expecting Scoot to take another step more than anybody on this roster this season. So if he wasn't improving, then I think that'd be a major red flag because of the work that he puts in the offseason. And maybe it's a red flag anyway without being able to see him play, that none of these young players are really taking a step forward in the areas they need to be.
To me, the red flag is still something we've talked about for years, and that is the inability to get our good players good shots, like without having them have to create. So, in my opinion, part of the problem might be that Shea isn't necessarily like an ISO type player. Like, how good could he be if you were getting him quality looks off of lobs, off of screens, off of pin downs and curl screens and things like that? Where's all these cuts? Like, if you had a penetrator baseline, that middle cut down the lane is almost always available in those situations. And maybe, I'm not putting this all on the organization and the coaching. Like, a lot of that is the players on the court need to recognize when they need to cut and move and stuff too. But everyone else, isn't good enough to be put in those situations. So Deni and Shea pretty much have to create offense every time they have the ball, whereas the rest of the Blazers are pretty much just benefiting off of Deni and stuff, making open shots for them. So in my opinion, I would like to see Shea, and I mean, if you can include Deni and get him some open, easier baskets every once in a while so he doesn't have to quite work as hard for every shot he has, it would just, to me, it would also help with the flow of and the mental part of it. I think the consistency would be better. The efficiency would be better if you just got these guys occasionally a play where they get a good shot where they don't have to dribble into the defense every freaking time to score a basketball.
Yeah, I think it would help Sharp, but I also think if we are going to say he's not like an ISO type or like on-ball creator at that level, then that kind of feels like, to me, we're resigning ourselves to him not being a star. Because like, that's where it's gonna have that, like, there's gonna have to be juice there for him to be like a star level offensive production guy. And I think he could be lethal off the ball, but I mean, how many guys are lethal off ball players that are stars? I think the only one you could say is maybe like Lauri Markkanen, but he's also 7 feet tall and shoots 40+% from three. So Sharp is a 6'5" wing with his shooting struggles. Like, where's the role for him that he's gonna grow to where we can sit here and say like he's a star level producer night in, night out on the offensive side of the ball? That's just something I struggle to see right now because, if we look at things statistically, he's more turnovers than assists, 2 assists per game, 25% from three. That's going to get a boost from 3 for 3 today, but 25% from three, and he's not efficient overall. There's just a lot of work there to be done, and, it's like, I always think about Jalen Green because I see Blazer fans like shout out to our guy 503, but he drove me crazy today because we were in a conversation on Twitter and he said Sharp has a real good chance of turning into a star, and I just don't agree with a real good chance. I just feel like that's a Blazer fan being really high on his own young player. Like, if you think there's a real good chance of Shaden Sharp being a star, then I feel like you should think there's a real good chance that Jalen Green's going to be a star. But I don't think people that are super high on Shaden Sharp as Blazer fans are sitting here thinking, oh, Jalen Green has a really good chance of being a star. I don't think they're sitting here saying, oh, Benedict Mathurin has a really good chance of being a star, right? Like, that's just kind of the he's your own prospect, so you're high on him type thing. But, I mean, if you want to go compare him to Benedict Mathurin's averaging 21 points per game, 5.5 boards, and 2.3 assists. But he's also shooting 43% from three. And he's 23 years old, so he's barely older than Sharp, right? But like, no, I don't. Is anybody sitting here like, oh, real good chance he's going to be a star, or viewing him in the same vein? I don't know. So there's plenty of guys across the league that you could be having the same conversations about is Shaden Sharp. I think the conversation is a little different with Sharp with his combination of athleticism and then the obscene struggles from three. So it's not the same exact conversation, but just in terms of a young guy with potential that does some things and flashes other things, like there's plenty of those guys across the league. So what's going to separate Sharp, and when is he going to start separating himself? And that's not just a conversation based off this game at all. It's basically a more overall, conversation with where he's at this point in his career. At some point, he has to start separating himself and start being more consistent with the shot making, more consistently efficient, and more consistently as a creator. And the threes were there today. The turnovers were rough. Like I said, this isn't just about this game, but I don't know. When is he going to start separating himself? Like, at what point, Eric, if this is how he plays the rest of the season, do you think then, like, this off season is that the time when we can sit here and say, like, oh man, we're worried about him being able to reach like a all-star level? Or is that time right now? Like, when is it not too early anymore for that conversation?
Well, I know he's been in the league a long time, but I mean, he's still, how old is he? 22?
22.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'd probably give him to like 24-ish. So maybe I'm not necessarily like giving him full, like, I don't care what happens until he's 24. That's not what I'm saying. Yeah. But I do feel like, he's still young enough to where he could figure some things out. And the point I was trying to make is not necessarily that he has to be the guy who can only score if like the offense is created for him to score. But I do feel like if he just got going a little bit, and then he's like a little bit more focused with his dribble, and a lot of this is on him to be better anyway. It shouldn't take this, but I do think there are a lot of stars who are just like okay at creating. Yeah, he can get to the basket off the dribble. He can finish inside. He can do some things that are star level. So I think if you just had that, and then you added just that manufactured efficiency of getting a lob dunk or two a game, an easy basket off a curl screen where you're not having to dribble 10 times and then make this ridiculous 12-foot turnaround fadeaway falling to the ground type shot, where you're probably shooting a bad shot even if it goes in. It's just, I feel like if you then add like those, like a couple of those a game where you're not shooting, it's like one of your 15 shots, it's like one of your it's like I don't know, it's just less magnified because it's not like a bulk of your shot diet is bad pull-up threes or whatever. And so I don't know, I feel like if you just got him going a little bit, and he's not like Deni where it's just like you could just keep pounding and pounding, and then eventually, like, you think with Deni he's going to wear down the defense and start creating havoc. He's going to get multiple people into foul trouble, and then outside of this game, usually he's going to the line so much that it boosts whatever. It doesn't really matter how he shoots from the field, because if he goes to the free throw line 16 times or whatever, it's just naturally inflating his efficiency in a positive way. So I don't know. I just would love to see Sharp in an offense where he's actually not having to just, okay, here's the ball, you go score this time, or you go create something out of nothing with Chris Murray and Sidi Sissoko as your corner three-point shooters trying to space the floor for you. Good luck.
Yeah, I just don't think it's enough to get him to like star level offensive production, because drawing up a couple of those buckets inside the arc, I think would come if he's going to be efficient. A couple of bucks like that is great, but it also needs to come with reduced three-point shot volume if he's going to shoot this percentage from three, right? So, like, the way I think of it is that can kind of cancel it out, and he'll be more efficient, but it'll still be like a 21, 5, and 2 guy. Like, it's not a star. I mean, how many people average 21 points per game in the NBA? I mean, we just saw Anthony Simons average, a couple years ago, average 22 a game, and now he's on the bench for Boston averaging 13. So I think Stan's still capable of averaging 21, 5, and 2. So, like that's kind of the question, is what's the separator there from him and like other guys that will get you an okay efficiency, 21 points per game with 2 assists. Like, that's kind of my question for him. And I think it just has to come through finding a way to knock down more threes, man. Finding a way to knock down more threes and then finding a way to just read the floor better. Those are the two things for me that is the separator for him. If he could consistently make threes, I think he would just be a more consistent player. I think some of the inconsistency just comes with the 3-point shot. And then just like reading the floor better, reading the floor more consistently so he doesn't have 6 turnover games where he's not really creating for people. Like, those are the two biggest factors for Shaden Sharp to really become truly consistent and take that next step. And on a night like today where he does one of those things and the other is really bad, it's just like, man, finding consistency in those areas is going to be extremely important.
But I always come back to this. I agree with what you're saying. But when was the last time we ran an actual lob play for Shaden Sharp?
Yeah, I mean, we don't do that.
Do you remember one? Like, I don't. Like, we've gotten a couple in transition, right? Like, Deni had one to him a game or two ago. But it's like, so not only would that be a good play, but like, the amount of focus the defense would have to pay to that would lead someone else to get a good shot, even if the action wasn't for him. So like, why is it so hard to just run a couple backdoor lob plays and make the defense have to account for that a couple times a game? Even if they stop it, they have to be worried about it in their mind. Like, to not make the defense even think about Sharp going for a backdoor lob or a back screen lob dunk opportunity, to not even have the defense have to like game plan for that at all at any point, it just seems like a ridiculous waste of talent. And so to me it still comes back to like, it's just puzzling why we don't use him in a way that could maybe generate a little bit easier opportunities for him.
Yeah, that would help. But like right now, he would be better as a 17 point to 18 point per game guy instead of a 21 point per game guy by shooting less threes, less tough threes. You know what I mean? Because like the tough threes he shoots are just so inefficient. The Blazers, even with their cast of misfits, it would still be a more productive thing to just run team offense and, generate shots that are not Shaden Sharp step back, fade away 3-point shots or stuff like that, just because those shots are more inefficient than what you would expect even this offense to get with the cast of guys it has. So, like, that's the thing is, you can't just look at Sharp at like 21 points per game, he's getting close because he's over 20 points per game. Like, it's about how productive that scoring is. Efficient scoring is good. Inefficient scoring isn't particularly good or impressive. He's just taking a lot of shots to get there, and he's taking a lot of threes to get there. So I thought today he was better with the 3-point shot selection. And he made all 3 of them. Shocker. Like, right. When he's not shooting a fadeaway with a hand in his face, he shoots a little better. But anyway, that's our thoughts on Sharp. Shout out to Ben's Brawley, $2 donation, says, had no clue just how slow-footed Yong is. Yeah, let's talk about him next. And then shout out to Josh Sargent, $2 donation, says, worst pass of the season and worst officiating. Thank you, Josh. Thank you guys for the donations. I don't know which pass you're talking about was the worst.
I mean, there's a few this game that could qualify, I guess.
Worst passing of the season? Yeah. Maybe.
Passing, yeah.
Well, he said worst pass. Maybe that's what he means. Worst passing of the season. Yeah, 26 turnovers is not pretty. I thought they did a good job moving the ball last game, and then today just really struggled. Never built a rhythm. So, Yong gets his first start. Wasn't pretty to start. I mean, it wasn't even pretty at the end. He just got a couple buckets. The second one we didn't see because shout out Blazer Broadcasting. Do you know what happened on that play or no?
No, I saw the spin move one, but yeah, I didn't see the other one either.
Let me see if I can go to NBA.com and see the second bucket that we got robbed of. Because
why not?
Because reasons, yeah.
NBA.com has not been doing a good job of updating those recently. Or showing them at all.
Okay, so it was on inbounds where they... Yeah, he basically like came across the lane to the opposite side of the lane, the right side, caught a baseline inbounds, and then spun back to his left, like kind of pump faked, and then kind of scooped it around. I think that was Edie guarding him. That play took a decent amount of time to develop too, which is kind of ridiculous that we missed it. But you know.
Right.
So the donations, I didn't realize how slow footed he is. Yeah, it's a problem. Here's the thing. Zach Edey was always a slow footed big, but he got his foot speed, like he made his foot speed just good enough to be able to hang in the NBA, right? And the thing for him, the wake-up call for him was that March Madness game against Fairleigh Dickinson, where their average height was 6'1", shortest team in college basketball. They were a 16 seed, and basically they just played 5 out and just hunted Zach Edey and attacked him. And Edey's foot speed, even against a very that was a bad Division I team. Like they were in the worst conference, didn't even win their conference, didn't win their conference tournament. They only made the NCAA tournament because the team that won the conference tournament was ineligible because they just moved up to Division I. That was Merrimack. So
I hate that rule, by the way.
I hate that rule as well.
If you win your conference, you win your conference.
Yeah, I don't understand why that rule is a thing, but it is. So, against this school that's not a good Division I team, a bunch of guys that are probably accountants or plumbers now, he got exposed. But what did he do? He went and improved his foot speed, got in better shape, and now he's still a slow-footed big in the NBA, but it's not a complete detriment. Right now, Yong Hansen's foot speed in the NBA is a complete detriment. And hopefully this offseason he will improve that. Because I do think you can slightly improve that. I think it's always going to be something where he's a slow-footed big, but can he get hunted constantly? Mm-hmm. Because, right now it looks really ugly. The defense looks really ugly. He had a nice block that he kind of timed up. At 7'2", he's going to be able to block a shot here and there, especially when he can time it up as a secondary help guy. Especially if the primary defender slows down a drive and the guy kind of tries to hang and go against Young's length, which is that essentially what that block was like. Yeah, his length will come into play sometimes, but when guys are going downhill at him, he is just stuck in quicksand and stuck on his heels where he can't even react. At all. I almost wonder if it's slow reflexes as well, because you see how many times he gets hit in the face with a basketball on a rebound. Does he just have slow reflexes too, and does that hurt him defensively? I don't know, but the foot speed definitely is not good.
Yeah, and that was even though I had him, I think I had him 25th overall on my big board. That was the one thing I was concerned about. It was the one thing after drafting Klingon last year as primarily a drop big, not like a switchable, versatile big. Drafting one for a second straight year in the first round was a question mark. So yeah, it's like you said, you can improve it enough. Edey has been great around the rim. I still want to see the Grizzlies in a playoff series and watch how teams attack Edey and probably play him off the floor. But I mean, I just have to say this: he's improved enough to where some of those concerns, I think, credit to him for improving them and making them not as big of a deal, and for using his innate ability to finish around the rim as a reason why he can stay on the floor and maybe be a positive, even if he is tough on defense to play against a quick team. But in terms of Young, that's what he's got to do. I think is he's got to find a way to be an effective rim protector because he's never gonna be quick enough to switch out or to be able to um, do different things other than protect the rim. So if if anything, you just have to be good at one thing, and that's protecting the rim. And then in addition, any big man should be good at rebounding. And you saw him. This might just take some time to get some strength, some NBA big man strength, because you saw Edie kind of push him around a little bit on some of those rebounds and get some rebounds that he shouldn't have gotten, even though Edie's massive. It's just so those are things he needs to improve on defensively, just to be like a rotation NBA player. He's got to find a way to rebound and to at least be a guy. Okay, he's not gonna ever be someone you can switch out or depend on to stop a penetrating guard, but if they're near the rim and he's around, he's so big that you can at least deter a shot or whatever.
The thing is, Zach Edey's like the best type of matchup for Young. Like going against any mobile big, like, or he's not going to be able to defend the pick and roll. I mean, we saw him playing drop, like where he's basically at the rim and you could walk into a 15-footer. How's that going to look if he's ever playing legitimate minutes down the line against star guards? Like, they're going to hunt him. They're absolutely going to hunt him unless he gets better with his foot speed and being able to flip his hips and that sort of stuff. Like, it's he had a nice spin move baseline and a layup off an inbounds in the second half, but like the broadcast was acting like, oh my goodness, he's finally here. You know, look at him turning the corner. It's just like, okay, he had a couple of buckets. Like, cool. He bodied Zach Edey, a low post big. Like, great. All right. I mean, it's not really anything that's particularly impressive yet. And I'm tired of hearing the language barrier as like kind of an excuse for everything. The language barrier is not
pushing that tonight.
The language barrier doesn't show up when he's trying to rebound against NBA bigs. The language barrier isn't why he's shooting 28% from the field and 7% from three, and he's now even worse than 7% from three. He's now 1 for 16 from three. Like, he's just not a good enough three-point shooter, and he has to improve. The language barrier isn't why that's the case. It's because he's just not good enough at that yet. And it's fine to say that. Like, he has a lot of work to do. But I hate the whole... The reason why I hate it is, like, he gets drafted, it's a reach, and then the fan base, like, gaslights itself into, like, next Jokic. Look at his highlights. He can shoot and dribble and pass. And then we got Cronin, who's acting like he's potentially ready to play legitimate NBA minutes as a rookie, and then he looks really, really bad. And now it's like, oh, man, the language barrier is just so tough. Instead of it being about, oh, no, we drafted a guy that is definitely not NBA ready and has a lot of work that needs to be done and is going to take multiple years to get up to speed, because that's not what people were acting like after we drafted him, when people were watching highlight tapes and convinced themselves we might have the next Jokic, and Joe Cronin was implying that he might be ready to play right away. But, oh, no, it's not the case. Oh, no, it's just the language barrier. It's not that he's a project raw big that we might have reached on. Like, that's why it annoys me so much. That's why
not mine. Joe Cronin admitted we reached on him.
Yeah, well, yeah. But, like, that's not a blanket excuse for everything. That definitely it definitely matters, and there's definitely, like, an adjustment period to coming overseas and all that stuff. I'm not trying to make it sound like that's not a real thing, because it obviously is, but at the same time, when you're playing basketball, when you're rebounding and boxing out and shooting threes and doing all this stuff, the language barrier isn't why he has missed almost every three he's taken. The language barrier isn't why he's 1 for 16 from three. He was a 27% three-point shooter when he was playing at home in China. So I don't like that as just like an overall excuse for any struggles he has. He's going to struggle. He's a raw project big that the Blazers self-admittedly reached on. So, yeah, that's what it is. And the language barrier matters a little bit, but let's stop using that as an excuse for everything.
Okay, I don't want to sound like one of those people, so please don't take it this way, because I am definitely not one of those people like, you need to speak our language, blah blah blah. So don't take it that way. However, in Yong's case, he was going to come out the year before, right, in the draft, and then it decided to spend a whole another year before he declared for the draft. They've mentioned on the broadcast he's been training since he was 7 years old. I mean, obviously they knew he was going to be really tall. So, like, obviously, if you're a basketball player that's being trained to play basketball, usually that end result is NBA, right? Like, that's the main goal. Someone who I was very high on last year, RAP Ulrich Chomsky, at like 13, he thought to himself, if I'm ever going to make the NBA, I need to learn English. And he studied English and learned it basically on his own, how to speak the language. So why wasn't Yong spending, like, why didn't he use this whole last year to learn the language and make it so it wasn't a barrier? I mean, like, I know he can speak it okay. And the times he has spoke, it's been fine. I feel like it's kind of maybe a crutch.
Yeah.
At times, like, oh, well, I could just use that as the excuse, you know? To me, I mean, he was drafted 6 months ago almost now, like 5.5 months ago. He's known for years that he was going to have a shot at playing in the NBA, especially last year he would have been drafted by the Blazers, apparently. So we had a full year where he knew he was going to come into this draft. Why wouldn't he make more of an effort to be ready communication-wise to where we're not halfway into his first season talking about how we still can't even run a timeout and talk about what defensive schemes we want to switch up because he doesn't understand.
I get where you're coming from. I do get where you're coming from. I also think, like, when you're talking about a teenager, 16, 17, 18, like, working on his game, like, that was his focus, like, is getting to the point where he was good enough to come to the NBA, and now it's like, oh, no, I got to know the language, which I think is fine. I do think the past year when he knew he was going to get a chance in the NBA, he should have put a lot of work into learning the language, and maybe he did. Like, that's the thing, is English is not easy language to learn. So, but I also do agree with, like, maybe it's just a crutch at this point because he's been being coached for months now. Like, he should know what certain terms mean and terminology on the floor. Like, I just don't really buy that it's as big of a issue for him is just the fact that he's a raw project big man that is going to take multiple years to develop the skills necessary to be able to defend and be able to make threes and be able to put the ball on the floor and pass and this and that. Like, and that's what I said coming into this year is he's probably not going to be ready because he's going to need times to do those things. So that's just kind of the way I view it is that it's definitely, I don't like how much the broadcast kind of peddled that today. It always seems like they're trying to peddle just the newest excuse and the brightest way to look at things. And that's kind of their job. And listen, I don't fault the guys that are doing it. I think that's kind of what they're supposed to do. So
my wife asked me that during the game.
My girlfriend was getting annoyed with the way they were pitching positivity.
If you were an announcer, could you do that? She said. Like, if you were, I was like, yeah, I could fake it.
Yeah, I could fake it too. Yeah. I mean, shoot, when I go on the radio, I'll be a little bit more positive. Right. So I'm capable. I won't be quite that positive,
But that's why we're, like, treated the way we are in terms of the media landscape. It's because we don't ever, like, fake what we're feeling just to, like, save feelings or whatever. Like, we'll tell it how we feel.
Just go look at my Twitter and look at me rage at NBA refs, and talk about how the league is a joke. That's not your normal media member type stuff, but I ain't a media member. They won't credential me. So I'm a fan covering the team, and that's the way it is. So, yeah.
Well, okay, so I have a question for you in regards to the language thing, and like I'm not saying you might have an answer that completely lines up with Yong. You might have an answer that completely doesn't. I'm not saying that there's a right or wrong answer here, but let's say you got right now, Torrey Jones signs a 1-year contract in, let's say, Greece, okay? And you go over there and you're dropped onto a Greek team and you have to try and fit in not knowing any Greek. I'm assuming you don't know how to speak Greek.
I don't.
So, like, is basketball universal enough to where you can kind of wing it until you learn the language and stuff like that? How long do you think it would take for you to learn the language well enough to, like, be in that situation? Is this something that would take years, or is basketball should be like a universal thing to where, like, if they use the word for like screen or something, like you can figure out what that is relatively quickly and then
Yeah.
apply it to the court?
Yeah. Like left, right. Yeah. It's association. That's the first association like to make is all right. The Greek language in terms of basketball terminology. How does you know what does screen left mean, screen right mean? So if I'm getting screened, like, and somebody's communicating it to me, I know, you know what I mean? Um, that sort of thing. And I think Young knows all this at this point. Like,
Yeah,
so that's why I just don't buy it. Like, he takes English classes. He takes, he's spending time to learn the language, and he has a translator there to help him in practice, like pick up on any terminology he doesn't know. But yeah, I don't really think it's as big of an issue as people want to make it out to be. I think where it's an issue is like if in the course of the game, like a coach is trying to explain like something detailed that's happening during the game and something to
yeah,
like look for that's not like just your common terminology. That's where the language barrier becomes an issue. But like there's just obviously a baseline level of skills beneath that needs to improve where he's not ready in a lot of areas
yeah.
that is not due to the language barrier.
Well, like as Matt Cardle points out, how many American basketball players learn the language when they go play for another country? Like, I don't think Stephon Marbury, when he was dominating the Chinese league, knew how to speak their language, right?
He just went out
Like,
there and hooped, man.
right? Yeah, exactly. Um, and maybe it's a little different because it's not quite as intense in terms of learning schemes and the coaching and stuff like that. It's just you're so good, you just go out and you can dominate a game. Whereas Young's, obviously in terms of being ready to play an NBA game, probably on the lower end of that spectrum. So that's probably something that is a factor. But like we know the center in particular has to be the guy who like calls out the
Yeah,
screens and stuff like that.
yeah,
But to me, that would be one of the first things you should learn, right? So that shouldn't be an issue. Screen left, screen right, screen coming. Some teams don't say left or right. Some teams have like a word for each side, and like that should be what like you should learn that in the first week you're
yeah.
here, right? So I don't know. If, I kind of feel like at this point maybe just throw him to the wolves and let him learn, because I think that's the best way to learn a language is just get immersed into that culture. And the more you continue to speak English, like if I went to Mexico and just spoke English and never even tried to learn the language, I'm not saying it's not trying to learn language, but like it would be much easier if I was every day trying to talk with people in their language, even though it's rough at first, like just trying to get better. And so I don't know. I feel like at some point the excuse of the language barrier has to kind of stop.
Yep, I agree. Um, Also, like defensively with him right now, he's just on his heels. He's not quick enough to play on his toes though. Like he can't get caught leaning forward playing drop scheme, or else he's easily getting beat to the rim. Even when he's on his heels, like Coward's and one against him, just kind of blew by his hip, and it was like Young just kind of stood there, didn't know what to do. but he doesn't jump. Like he doesn't get off the floor defensively. Unless he can time it up and take a couple steps, you know what I mean? But like in drop scheme, defending the rim when he's on his heels, like he just does not get off the ground. And we're talking about a guy that he doesn't have as high of a standing reach as you would think. You know, he's listed at 7'1" without shoes, but he has a 9'3" standing reach, which is like solid for a center, but it's not massive. Like Klingen's for reference was, I believe, 9'7". So he has 4 inches in terms of his standing reach. Like Yong's standing reach is only an inch taller than Noah Senge's, an inch taller than Maxime Reynaud, an inch shorter than Ryan Kalkbrenner, 3 inches shorter than Kamad Malawat, right? So he's like solid center sized, but then when guys attack him, he just isn't able to like contest shots getting off the floor, especially without fouling. Like when he bites on a lot of pump fake, you know, when he bites on pump fakes and gets kind of out of control defensively, where he'll pick up fouls and that sort of thing. It's really tough for him to be a presence. Like the thing is with Klingen is he doesn't jump high, but he's able to get off the ground when he's playing on his heels and like able to play vertical, and it makes him a bit bigger. Like Yong, when guys drive at him, he just does not look big. He doesn't play big. He's just kind of like, the best defense for him right now is just to stand there and put his hand up and hope that it bothers a player. And that's where he has to find a way to become more athletic, quicker footed, and defensively more agile. Because that's the thing, Eric, is like, he's not agile defensively. Klingen, with his size, is agile defensively. And that's part of the reason why he's such a good defensive big. So I don't know how you train that or figure that out for Yong, but that's something that hurts him.
Yeah, hopefully, practicing with 2 agile bigs in Rob Will and, well, I don't know how much Rob Will practices with how hurt he is, but in theory, Rob Will and Klingen, hopefully he can pick up some things from them, or they can kind of teach him stuff. I think
he just can't move in the way those guys move, though, you know?
No,
so
I know,
how can you teach him if he can't do the movement stuff?
But I feel like his mind isn't there either. Like he's not recognizing drives quick enough. He's not. So when you combine that with being slow-footed, you're cooked, man. So like if he improves his foot speed a little bit, that would be great, obviously. But there was a lot of slow-footed bigs that were capable defenders because they were smart defenders, and they knew how to position themselves. They knew how to read where to be positionally. They knew when to help, when to stay on your guy. They knew when to trap, when to do all these things. And this might come back to the communication thing, I guess. But for me, there's multiple times where it's like a basic read, and he's like, you can tell he misses it, and he's too slow reacting to it, and then by that time he's having to foul, or he's put in a compromised situation, or he's going to get scored on. And so like as quick as he can get to being just a little bit smarter at recognizing things and more like the game, I guess, slowing down for him. Plenty of time for that. He's still a rookie. And having to learn a bunch of other things on top of the NBA game. But just instincts as a basketball player have to improve too. It's one thing to be able to, back someone down and spin and score, like in a one-on-one post situation. That's great, but that's not really a reactionary thing other than reading what side the defense is playing to you and maybe spinning the opposite way. Whereas defense, it's almost exclusively trying to figure out ahead of when it's going to happen, where it's going to happen, so you can get there quicker than the other person. And until he improves that part of his mental game, I think he's always going to struggle on that side when you combine it with the slow foot speed.
Yeah. Yep. Cool for him to get a start. I like that he kind of got a little bit of his swagger back in the second half. That was good to see. It's just a work in progress. Let's talk about Deni. So Deni gets 3 free throw attempts. This game only makes 1. It was almost like the NBA, like, course corrected. We're giving this guy way too many free throws. Here, we're not going to call a single thing for you all game long, even when you're getting fouled. Like, the play from Edie from behind, like, I think I didn't really have an issue with that play not being called a foul. But also, if that's SGA flops into the cameraman and always gets that call. Do you know what I mean? So there was a couple ticky-tack ones I thought could have went either way. I thought there was a couple obvious ones they missed, which is part of the reason why he didn't necessarily have the best game. But, I mean, we're talking about a dude like, okay, he didn't have the best game. He had 17 points, 7 boards, 7 assists. He did have 5 turnovers, but he was 7 for 14 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3. Like, this was a really bad game by his standards, considering his averages, but that's how much he's raised the bar. And he didn't get the benefit of the whistle in this game. He kind of got screwed on some calls, so I want to see him be a more aggressive with like some of the mid-range stuff, I think. Like trying to get to that shot a little bit, even if he doesn't hit it, like start shooting it when you're not getting called in the paint. But that's the thing. That's the one area where I would like to see him improve, because in a game like this where when you get to the rim, you're just getting swarmed and you're not getting calls, and then you're getting pressed up at the three-point line, that's where you kind of need that in-between game a little bit more. But, I mean, This team doesn't make it easy on him regardless, so it's whatever.
Yep. No, I thought it was fine. I thought he should have gone the line a few more times, but obviously this game got away from us early. It just felt like this game's a loss early on when we came out completely flat. And in a way, I almost felt like it would just be kind of wasting a lot of because like we talked about this a little bit, but like how much can you withstand like a full 82 game season of doing what Deni's doing? So like I almost didn't mind that we had a game like this. Like obviously I wanted to win. I would have much rather won and had him have a great game. But like at some point I think, like, okay, this game we just don't have it. Maybe we won't drive 20 times this game.
Yeah, and he was banged up last game. I think it's going to be nice to get 3 days off here before they take on the Pelicans. I said they needed to win one of these, this game or the Pelicans game. Well, they lost this game, so I think you got to get a win against New Orleans. They're 3-21, so got to find a way to beat them. They're disaster.
It's weird as everyone's talking about this road trip being over now. Like, I know we're going home, but it's definitely still have one more road game.
Yeah, I got to fly all the way down to New Orleans. So, and then the schedule lightens up. If we take a look at Tankathon, so we can look at the schedule here. Yeah, they go on the road at New Orleans, and then, I mean, look at this beautiful schedule. I mean, honestly, all the way up to here, like this. Here, let me scroll down so you can see the whole thing. This stretch is a stretch where hopefully they get some guys healthy. They have some winnable games in here, and they have a ton of home games. After this, whoops, I did not mean to click on Boston. After this game against New Orleans, out of their next, let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. After this game against New Orleans, 12 of their next 16 are at home. So
yeah, we have a huge stretch of home games. And I think according to Tankathon, we have easiest schedule rest of the season, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, tied for the easiest with Sacramento. Yep.
So that helps a little bit, right?
Yep. And let's see, to date, well, I'll just do it through the end of this, through the Pelicans game. Let me count how many road games there are. So the Pelicans game will be game number 25. Okay. And out of those 25 games, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 of the 25 games have been on the road.
It's crazy.
So only 9 home games in their first 25, 16 road games. So not only does the opponent get a lot easier, but also you get a lot of home games. Like the Blazers have been beat down, I think, by circumstances and the schedule. You know, it would be nice 5-3 though. Like you then go 4-12 after that. There's a couple winnable games in here the Blazers should have gotten and would be sitting actually in a much better picture right now. So things have basically slipped away from them, but not to the point where it's not recoverable. They just need some healthier bodies, and they need to take advantage of the schedule coming up. Like this is the stretch that defines the season. I think the next month, New Orleans on the 11th to New York on the 11th. After this New York game, their road and home balance will be about even. So can you have an above 500 record over this stretch? They need to. Their season kind of like rests upon it in a way. If you're trying to get into like 7th, 8th playing game where you can play for the 7th seed and then maybe you have a chance to win that series, you know, like if you're the 8th seed, you're not beating the Thunder. They need to, if you want to see them be competitive in the playoffs, they need to get up to 7th, which means they need to be in the 7-8 playing. I think it's possible for them to get up to the 7th, 8th playing game. They are currently 3.5 games out of Golden State. Golden State just won, but the Blazers play Golden State coming up, and I think, they can win the tiebreaker if they beat them next game because they've already won 2 games against Golden State, and that's a home game, right? The Blazers are going to have some rest before that, so will Golden State because it's the NBA Cup bracket. So any teams that didn't make it will have some rest, but winnable games coming up, man. This is the stretch that's going to define the season, going to determine if they have a chance of getting into that 7-8 playing game, which is where I want the Blazers to be at the end of the year. They got to get as high as 8. So you got to pass Golden State or Phoenix, one of those 2 teams, and you got to pass Memphis. Memphis has been winning some games lately, and you just lost to them. That's why this loss hurts.
Watch out for Dallas. They've been playing well.
Yeah. So Portland's only a half game ahead of Dallas. So Dallas has been winning some games. So this is going to get competitive here. Like I don't think Utah will remain in this picture. I think it will come down to like Dallas, Portland, Memphis, Golden State, Phoenix for 7th through 11th. Phoenix has had a super easy schedule. So can you get a win against them? Like these head-to-heads are going to really matter against these teams. But, I mean, just look at the schedule. You got New Orleans, Golden State, Sacramento twice. All very winnable games. All, like, would love to see them go 3-1 in this stretch. That'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got this homestand against Detroit. You almost beat them on the road when you were shorthanded. Against Orlando, you almost beat them on the road when you were shorthanded. You just blew that game at the end. Against the Clippers, who suck this year. Against Boston, who's actually surprisingly good right now. They're the 3rd seed in the East right now. And then versus Dallas, who's playing better, but like that's one of those head-to-head games you got to win. Hopefully they're healthier. This is a nationally televised game. Unfortunately, on the second night of a back-to-back, but this is a 3 p.m. then an 8 p.m. start time, so a little bit more time in between those games. And then, tough game against OKC and San Antonio, but look at New Orleans, Utah. Couple tough games against Houston and then New York, but you got some winnable games in the stretch and a lot of home games. You got to find a way to take care of business.
Yep.
And here we are with the tank picture.
When the Pelicans game and we withstood this hard schedule with a 10-15 record.
Yeah, lose it and we're 9-16 and we're screwed. So this is a must win. A must win. Utah, did they count this loss to OKC yet? Has that gone final yet? No, that has not gone final yet. So they're going to lose to OKC, obviously, even though OKC didn't have SGA. So Portland will be a half game back of Dallas and Utah for 8th. Only 2 games back of 7th, and only 2.5 games back of 5th. So basically what I'm trying to say, you look at the Clippers there. They're all the way down in 4th now, but the Blazers are only 3 games back of them. And they're obviously going to try and win. So what I'm trying to say is it's not too late to tank. It's not too late to recover the season, and it's not too late to tank. It's still early. The Blazers could still work their way up. But I don't like OKC being there at 4. Let's simulate the lottery and hope for some good luck. At 14 is San Antonio via Atlanta. At 13 is Memphis. At 12 is Milwaukee. At 11 is Chicago. At 10 is your Portland Trailblazers. At 9 is Dallas moving down a spot, so Utah moves up. That pick is top 8 protected, so they keep it. It doesn't go to OKC. At 8 is Charlotte. At 7 is Sacramento moving down 2 spots. At 6 is OKC via the Clippers. Thank goodness. They lose the Jazz pick, and the Clippers pick falls down to 6th. So this is like best case scenario for that. And Philadelphia is now in playoff position, so 6 is their only lotto pick in the sim. And then 5 is Atlanta via New Orleans. So that pick falls out of the top 4. At 4 is Washington. At 3 is Utah. At 2 is Brooklyn, which means the number 1 pick goes to Indiana. If you're Indiana, who do you take number 1? Because you don't like Cam Boozer playing center, huh?
I mean, he's only like 6'9", so yeah.
They need a center.
Yeah, they do. I mean, I think it's still maybe too early, but because Peterson's been out. I know he came back and played yesterday, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
DeBonsa, that's the one team that does make decent sense.
He doesn't make. Yeah, I agree. But if he's the best player, you take him. I think you just take him.
Oh, I said he does make sense for DeBonsa. You said.
I was saying it doesn't because
you don't think it does.
Halliburton's such a controller of the ball. In the ideal situation, I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, you still.
It feels like Diamonds is the best scenario would be going to a team where he can be like kind of the, not necessarily Deni role, but like someone who gets a lot of usage as a forward.
I disagree. I think it might be good for him to be in a situation where he has to learn more than just being like a ball dominant player. How to cut, fill the lane, transition, that sort of stuff. Like be more a part of a system. I think those would be good skills early on for him to learn, and then he'll grow into the on-ball usage. And that thing is that system, like, yeah, Hallie controls it, but they have multiple guys that can shoot and attack off the dribble, and like him just fitting into the flow would be interesting. I think I don't like Peterson there because I don't think he'd start. I don't think he'd start over Nembhard or Halliburton. Maybe it'd be too good to pass up, but you know, the Pacers would want to be back to like kind of what they did when they made that finals run, and Halliburton, Nembhard backcourt was really important. So like Boozer makes some sense, but Boozer's a 4 to me, and then you got Siakam, who's like pretty strictly a 4. That's why I was thinking DeBonsa. If there was a center, a can't miss center prospect at the top of the draft, then that would be the guy for them. Like if Alex Sarr was in this draft, man, Alex Sarr would have been perfect for him. I wouldn't rule them out like trading this pick. If I was Indiana, I would go to Utah and offer 1 for Walker Kessler and 3. I don't think Utah does that, but that's the type of thing I would be looking at. I mean, maybe you have to.
I don't know if that's enough.
For who?
For me to move off 1. I mean, maybe with 3 top players on the board, but
yeah, you take whichever one of the 3 is left, and you solve your center issue, right? Like, then you're probably looking to win next year in Indiana because they have a center issue right now. Honestly, you know who I'd love for them? Just random.
Clayton?
No. I love them taking a flyer on Shaden Sharp. Because he's not getting much. I don't think Shaden Sharp's playing enough in Brooklyn, and they have Claxton. And they have Danny Wolf. So that's like a buy low guy that has some talent and might be able to shoot the ball one day, but like is just pretty solid big. I think would be their best big on the roster right away. So
yeah.
Anyway, that's Tankathon. I know we said we do a trade machine tonight. I'm kind of tired though.
Yeah.
I'm kind of tired. I've been tired all day. Don't know why. Was not a sleep issue or anything. So.
It's not a skill issue either.
Not a skill issue.
Okay.
But the Blazers.
Just teasing.
The Blazers' next game's on Thursday. We got 3 days off, so that'll be nice. Kind of reset. This team can rest. I don't know what my ear's doing. So yeah, you got the game against the Pelicans. They have one game over the next 6 days, so we'll have you covered with that post-game show. Anything else, Eric?
Oh, thanks everyone for watching. Appreciate y'all. Hope you had a good weekend, and hope to see you after that Pelicans win.
Yep, and also a reminder to check out Sleeper. Use the code Uprise. You'll get a free $20 deposit, 100% match up to $100, and you'll support the channel. So that's a win-win, and then if you win your free $20 deposit, then that's a win-win-win. So check out Sleeper. Use the promo code Uprise. Shout out to them for sponsoring the post-game show.
Marv says to take some vitamin C, low energy could be a cold coming on.
I'm a busy guy. Is what it is. I do feel like I'm about to get sick soon, though. Just gut feeling. So, hopefully not. Hopefully not, but at least we only have one game the next 6 days if I do. Anyway. Eric, yes. Eric Olson, yes, I will. I've just been super busy, so I haven't gotten around to that yet. But I saw your message, so I appreciate that, and we'll get rolling there. Anyway, rough game. Blazers lose. Not much to write home about, man. This is just a brutal game, and the refs were brutal once again. I hate the way this league is freaking refed, and yeah, hopefully Drew Holiday can come back sometime soon. Hopefully Scoot Henderson can come back sometime soon. I mean, at this point, I hope Matisse Thybulle can come back sometime soon. It's pretty bad.
Right.
Pretty bad out here, so. Cut into Caleb Love's minutes. But, Blazers 9-15, tough early season schedule. Easiest schedule left in the league. Lots of home games left. About to have a home-heavy stretch at least. So it's always fun watching them play at home compared to the road, especially when they're playing like this. And we're finally almost done with the freaking early tip-off time. So thank you guys for making us a part of your Sunday evening. Hopefully you have a good rest of your Sunday night and a good week ahead. We'll catch you again on Thursday as the Blazers take on the New Orleans Pelicans in what is a pretty important game for the Blazers to make sure they don't lose, considering that's the worst team in the league. We'll see if they can get the job done. We're out of here. Have a good rest of your night. Until next time. As always, peace out. Go Blazers!